How to manage email with Inbox Zero. Email is a great way to keep in touch with lots of different people on lots of different topics. Every day, 250 billion emails are sent. 200 billion of those are spam, but 50 billion are actually real messages, and you probably get a lot of those in your inbox just like I do every day. And the more people you follow, the more websites you visit, the more services you sign up for, the more emails you get. They just keep coming. And eventually this leads to an inbox that is totally jammed. One day you wake up and you go to work and you open up your email and there's hundreds, or I've seen some people who have thousands of messages. Some they've opened, some they haven't opened. They're just all sitting there. And this is an impossible situation. It's totally dysfunctional. It's no way to get through your work. So what do? Well, you have to make a decision that it's worth managing your email and managing your inbox. And it really just takes a different approach. Typically what we do is we look at the email, we start to skim it, and we say, oh, gee, I'd like to think about that, and I'll get back to it later. I'll read it later, I'll make up my mind, I'll get back to that person, decide what to do. Well, if you do that with every email that comes in, and if you get dozens to hundreds a day, you'll never get done. And the time that you're looking for, where you're going to sit down and take care to read those messages and think about them and respond in a nice way, that time just never comes around. You'll never get there. So what's the solution? Inbox Zero is an idea that was coined by a guy named Merlin Mann on his 43 Folders blog. He's supposedly writing a book about it. I'm not going to summarize him exactly. You can just Google Inbox Zero and you'll see all his stuff. And he's got some videos as well as articles on his blog. What I'm going to do is tell you how I do it, because that's what really matters. Each person has to figure out, how am I going to do this? But it's a great concept. The goal of Inbox Zero is that every time you leave your inbox, it has 0 emails in it. You've emptied it out. It's kind of like if you go home and you have a mailbox at your door and you get your mail out, you don't look at the mail and decide which ones to open and put them back in the mailbox, because the postman would kind of get irritated after a few days as these things piled up. You're going to at least take them in the house and do something. So you just have to realize that your email inbox should be the same as your postal mailbox, in that it's just a container for incoming messages. You have to do something with those messages. So what do you do? Well, you can't sit down and read them all and respond. Even if you wanted to do that, you're going to get interrupted. You're going to think of other things you have to do. Something's going to come up on your calendar. Someone's going to make a phone call. Someone's going to walk in and start asking you about something else that they'd like you to work on. You're going to get distracted. So here's the dirty little secret that Mann shares. And that is, you don't read your emails. You don't read them. But wait, then what do you do with them? Okay, you simply scan them quickly. You look at who it's from, you look at the subject, maybe a quick visual scan of how much information is in there, any bold headlines, and you decide, what do I need to do? And especially, you ruthlessly ask yourself, what do I have to respond to this message or not? So the question is not what do I do, but do I even need to do anything? And so when you ask that question, maybe your answer is, I don't really need to do anything with this message. It's not that interesting, so just delete it. You can delete these messages. If you're afraid of deleting things, put them in a folder called delete, and you can delete them later. Or a lot of these systems will have a trash bin where if you delete something, you can go back and retrieve it later. But the idea is you simply ask yourself, do I need to act on this or not? It's a process of prioritization. This is real similar to what Stephen Covey in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, has a 4-quadrant system for prioritizing tasks. And in his system, you ask a question on 2 dimensions to classify the tasks you have to do that day or that week or on a project. You ask, is it important or not? and is it urgent or not? So obviously, things that are important and urgent, you're going to give some attention to, and that's what you're going to work on today. For things that are neither important and they're not urgent, they're going to be filed away, and who knows when you'll get to them or if you'll ever get to them. So same thing applies to your email. Ask yourself, do I have to do something or can I delete it? After you ask that question, if you do have to do something, say, well, do I have to do something now, soon? Or can I just put this off till later? Or could I even forward this to someone else to do it for me? Can I delegate? People don't like to delegate, especially managers and directors. I've noticed really have a problem of hanging on to too much email and too many tasks, and they're not that good at delegation. So Inbox Zero is a great technique for managers and directors to learn how to let go of things and move quickly and trust that other people can take care of work for you. But you have to forward it right away and delegate in a timely fashion. So what if you decide that I'm going to do something with this message, but I'll read it later, I'll act on it later. So what do you do with that? Well, you could just put it in a single folder called Do. I even have one called Do, one called Do question mark. I have one called Do hold. I have multiple things, but then I use Gmail. It allows you to do multiple tagging instead of folders. It's a real smart system, and it's really easy to tag this stuff. And my technique is this, okay? It's really hard to get down to zero, and you don't want to feel like you fail. So I say, okay, 0 to 25. I set my page of display to only show me 25 messages in my inbox. After that, it goes to a second page. And I don't ever let it get that far. I don't allow a second page. If I can't see the full list of the inbox in a single page, I have failed, and I'm going to get ruthless and start deleting or moving those things out of my inbox. And my goal at the end of the day is to get it as close to zero as I can, and especially on Friday at the end of the week, when I know there's going to be some lag time, things come in over the weekend, and then on Monday I got to start fresh. Friday is a real good time to get that inbox down to zero. Doesn't mean you're ignoring the messages. It doesn't mean that you don't care about the messages. What it means is that you're willing to prioritize your time and your relationships with people and your own work so you can get things done and email won't drive you crazy. So that's how to manage your email with Inbox Zero.